What if the person you're struggling to let go of has already let go of you? What if the pain you're carrying isn't because you lost them, but because you refuse to release the version of them that exists only in your mind? How much of your life have you sacrificed waiting for someone who no longer chooses you? Today, you're about to learn 10 powerful Stoic rules that will help you break emotional chains, reclaim your peace, and finally free yourself from the weight of attachment. Because sometimes the greatest act of love is not holding on. It's letting go. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that no amount of love, effort, loyalty, or sacrifice can force someone to stay. You can replay conversations 1,000 times. You can revisit memories every night. You can wonder what you did wrong and imagine different outcomes. Yet none of it changes reality. The Stoics understood a truth that many people spend years learning: suffering begins when we try to control what was never ours to control. Letting go is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the moment you stop fighting reality and start working with it. In this video, we will explore 10 Stoic rules that will help you release emotional attachments, heal your heart, and find the inner peace that no person can ever take away. Accept reality without resistance. The first Stoic rule is simple to understand but incredibly difficult to practice: accept reality exactly as it is. Much of human suffering does not come from the event itself, it comes from our refusal to accept that the event has already happened. When a relationship ends, a friendship breaks apart, or someone walks away, the mind immediately begins fighting reality. We replay conversations, search for mistakes, and create endless what-if scenarios. We tell ourselves that things should have gone differently, that they should have stayed, that life should have followed the path we imagined. But every moment spent arguing with reality only deepens the wound. Reality does not change because we reject it. The past does not rewrite itself because we refuse to let go. Like trying to stop the ocean waves with our hands, resistance only exhausts us. The Stoics understood that peace begins the moment we stop demanding that life be different and start accepting it for what it is. Acceptance is not weakness. It is the courage to face the truth without running from it. It is looking directly at what happened and saying, "I may not like this, but I will not deny it." When you finally accept reality, something remarkable happens: your energy returns to you. Instead of spending every day trapped in memories, regrets, and imaginary conversations, you begin focusing on the only thing that has ever truly belonged to you: the present moment. Acceptance does not mean forgetting the person or pretending the pain never existed. It means understanding that some chapters end so that new ones can begin. The person is gone. The relationship has changed. The story you imagined is no longer the story you are living. And that is okay. Life is constantly changing, and every ending carries the possibility of a new beginning. The more you resist reality, the longer you remain chained to a version of life that no longer exists. But when you accept the truth, even when it hurts, you free yourself from those chains. You stop living in the shadows of the past and start building a future based on what is real. Healing begins the moment you stop asking why it happened and start asking how you can grow from it. Acceptance is not the end of your story, it is the first step toward your freedom. Stop making them the center of your world. One of the biggest mistakes people make after becoming emotionally attached is allowing another person to become the center of their entire world. Slowly, without even realizing it, their thoughts, emotions, and decisions begin revolving around that person. Their mood depends on a text message, a phone call, or a small sign of attention. A good day becomes a day when that person responds warmly. A bad day becomes a day when they seem distant. Over time, your happiness, confidence, and sense of security become tied to someone else's behavior. This creates a dangerous imbalance because you are placing your emotional well-being in the hands of something you cannot control. The Stoics warned against this kind of dependence because it turns your inner peace into a hostage. The more power you give another person over your emotions, the less power you retain over yourself. When they are happy, you feel happy. When they pull away, you feel lost. When they leave, it can feel as though your entire world has collapsed. But the truth is that no single person should carry the responsibility of being your source of purpose, meaning, or self-worth. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from building a life that stands firmly on its own foundation. Your happiness should come from your character, your principles, your growth, and the way you choose to live each day. When you stop placing someone at the center of your universe, you begin rediscovering parts of yourself that may have been neglected. You reconnect with your goals, your passions, your ambitions, and the dreams that belong to you alone. You remember that your value does not increase because someone chooses you, nor does it decrease because someone leaves. Your worth has always existed independently of anyone's approval. The moment you stop chasing validation and start investing in your own development, a powerful transformation begins. Your confidence becomes stronger, your mind becomes calmer, and your identity becomes clearer. Instead of living as a supporting character in someone else's story, you become the author of your own. Your life no longer revolves around whether someone stays or goes. It revolves around who you are becoming. And that is the moment your life truly becomes yours again. Understand that people change. One of the most painful lessons in life is realizing that people do not remain the same forever. When we fall in love, we often become attached not only to a person but also to the version of them we first met. We hold on to their words, their promises, their affection, and the memories we created together. Deep inside, we hope that everything will remain exactly as it was. But life does not stand still. Every person is constantly being shaped by new experiences, challenges, ambitions, disappointments, and choices. Over time, priorities shift, perspectives evolve, and feelings can change. The person who once made you feel like the most important part of their life may eventually walk a different path. This truth is difficult to accept because the mind naturally clings to familiarity. It keeps revisiting old memories, searching for the person who once existed. Yet much of our suffering comes not from losing who they are today, but from refusing to let go of who they used to be. We compare the present to the past and become trapped between reality and memory. We keep hoping that the old version of them will return, even when life has already moved forward. The Stoics taught that change is not an exception to life, it is the very nature of life itself. Everything around us is constantly changing, including people, relationships, circumstances, and even our own identities. The seasons change, the years pass, and no person remains exactly the same from one chapter of life to the next. When you resist change, you create a battle you can never truly win. But when you accept it, you begin to find peace. Acceptance does not mean that losing someone becomes easy. It means understanding that change is neither a betrayal nor a personal attack, it is simply part of the human experience. The person you loved may have changed, and so have you. The relationship that once brought joy may no longer fit the lives you are both living today. Holding on to what was will only keep you stuck in the past, while accepting what is allows you to move forward with wisdom and grace. The moment you stop chasing a memory and start embracing reality, you release a tremendous weight from your heart. You realize that life is not asking you to hold on to everything forever. It is teaching you how to appreciate what was, accept what is, and remain open to what comes next. Detach from expectations. One of the greatest causes of emotional suffering is not what happens to us, but the expectations we quietly build in our minds. Expectations often begin as hopes, but over time they become demands that life may never fulfill. We expect people to stay forever because they once promised they would. We expect loyalty because we have been loyal. We expect consistency because we have given our consistency. We expect others to love us with the same intensity, commitment, and sincerity that we offer them. The problem is that these expectations are based on how we think life should unfold, not on how life actually unfolds. When reality fails to match our expectations, disappointment enters. We feel betrayed, hurt, and confused, not only because of what happened but because it violated the future we had imagined. Many people spend years suffering over broken expectations rather than broken relationships. They are attached to the picture they created in their minds, and when reality paints a different picture, they struggle to accept it. The Stoics understood that placing your peace in the hands of expectations is dangerous because expectations depend on things outside your control, other people's choices, emotions, and circumstances. Stoicism teaches a different approach: focus on your actions, not on the outcomes. Love deeply, but do not demand guarantees that no one can truly provide. Be kind, but do not make your kindness conditional on receiving the same treatment in return. Care for people wholeheartedly, but understand that nothing in life is permanent. Every relationship, every circumstance, and every season of life exists within a world that is constantly changing. This understanding is not meant to make you cold or detached from others, it is meant to make you emotionally free. When you stop expecting life to follow a specific script, you become more resilient when things change. You appreciate people while they are present instead of assuming they will always remain. You learn to give from a place of abundance rather than from a desire for guaranteed outcomes. The moment you release unrealistic expectations, disappointment loses much of its power over you. You stop measuring your happiness by whether life gives you exactly what you wanted. Instead, you find peace in knowing that you acted with integrity, loved sincerely, and gave your best effort. And when your peace comes from your character rather than from outcomes, no setback can completely break you. Remember your own value. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to let go is because they unknowingly tie their self-worth to another person's presence. When someone leaves, they do not just feel the loss of the relationship, they begin questioning their own value. Thoughts such as, maybe I wasn't good enough, maybe I wasn't worthy of love, or, what if no one ever chooses me again, start to take over the mind. These thoughts are dangerous because they transform normal sadness into a crisis of identity. Instead of seeing the end of a relationship as a change in circumstances, they begin seeing it as proof of personal inadequacy. This is how attachment turns into desperation. The fear of being alone becomes stronger than the desire for genuine happiness. People start chasing those who no longer choose them, sacrificing their dignity, self-respect, and peace of mind just to avoid feeling rejected. But another person's decision to stay or leave does not define who you are. People's choices are influenced by countless factors, many of which have nothing to do with your worth as a human being. Yet when emotions are involved, it is easy to forget this truth and allow someone else's actions to become the judge of your value. The Stoics believe that true worth comes from within, not from external validation. Your character, integrity, courage, wisdom, and values are what define you, not the opinions, approval, or affection of another person. Before that person entered your life, you already possessed value. You had dreams, strengths, talents, and qualities that made you unique. And after they leave, those things still remain. Their departure may create a temporary emptiness, but it does not erase who you are. The mistake many people make is believing that love gave them value, when in reality their value existed long before love arrived. When you remember this, something powerful happens. You stop begging for validation from people who cannot provide it. You stop measuring your worth by how others treat you. Instead, you begin investing in yourself, strengthening your mind, improving your character, and building a life that reflects your true potential. The moment you realize that your worth is not up for negotiation, you become emotionally stronger. You understand that rejection does not make you less valuable, loss does not make you less worthy, and being alone does not make you incomplete. Your value is not determined by who chooses you, it is determined by who you choose to become. And that is something no one can ever take away from you. Turn pain into growth. Pain is one of life's few guarantees. No matter how strong, wise, or successful you become, you will experience disappointment, heartbreak, rejection, loss, and failure at some point in your journey. Yet the Stoics made an important distinction: pain is inevitable, but suffering is often created by how we respond to that pain. Many people become trapped in endless cycles of resentment and self-pity, repeatedly asking, "Why did this happen to me?" They replay the event over and over, hoping to find a different answer or change an unchangeable past. But this question rarely leads to healing. It keeps the mind focused on the wound instead of the lesson hidden within it. The Stoics encouraged a different approach. Rather than seeing hardship as an enemy, they viewed it as a teacher. Every painful experience carries a message, a lesson, or an opportunity for growth. Sometimes pain teaches you to set stronger boundaries and stop accepting treatment that diminishes your worth. Sometimes it reveals unhealthy habits, emotional dependencies, or patterns that have quietly been holding you back for years. And sometimes it exposes strengths, courage, and resilience that you never knew existed within you. The experience may hurt, but it can also become one of the most valuable chapters of your life if you are willing to learn from it. Think about the strongest people you admire. Their wisdom was not created during easy times. Their character was not built through comfort and convenience. It was forged through adversity. Every challenge they faced forced them to become more patient, more disciplined, more resilient, and more self-aware. The same opportunity exists within your own struggles. The heartbreak that feels unbearable today may teach you self-respect tomorrow. The rejection that wounded your confidence may push you toward a better path. The loss that left you feeling broken may eventually reveal a strength you never knew you possessed. This is why the Stoics believe that obstacles are not merely barriers standing in your way, they are part of the path itself. The very experience that destroys one person's spirit can become the catalyst that transforms another into someone stronger and wiser. When you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" your perspective changes completely. Pain no longer becomes a prison. It becomes a tool for transformation. And one day, you may look back on the experience that once brought you to your knees and realize it was the moment that taught you how to stand taller than ever before. Stop chasing closure. One of the most exhausting emotional traps people fall into is the endless pursuit of closure. After a painful ending, the mind desperately searches for answers. It wants one final conversation, one final text message, one final explanation that will somehow make the pain disappear. We convince ourselves that if only we could understand exactly why things happened, we would finally be able to move on. So we replay old memories, analyze every conversation, and imagine countless scenarios. We wait for an apology that may never come. We hope for an explanation that may never be given. We believe that the person who caused the pain is also the person responsible for healing it. But this way of thinking keeps us emotionally tied to the very thing we are trying to escape. The truth is that some endings will never provide complete answers. Some people leave without explanation. Some relationships end without clear reasons. Some wounds remain unanswered despite all our efforts to understand them. The more you depend on another person to provide the peace you seek, the longer you remain trapped in a cycle of waiting, hoping, and suffering. You place your healing in someone else's hands, giving them power over a chapter they may have already left behind. The Stoics understood that true freedom begins when you stop demanding certainty from an uncertain world. Not every question will be answered. Not every betrayal will be explained. Not every wound will receive the apology it deserves. And yet, despite this, you can still move forward. Closure is not something another person gives you, it is something you choose for yourself. It is the decision to stop searching for answers that may never come. It is accepting that understanding every detail of the past is not required for building a better future. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to give you peace, you reclaim your power. You no longer need their explanation to heal. You no longer need their apology to feel worthy. You no longer need their return to feel complete. Instead, you create your own closure by accepting what happened, learning from the experience, and allowing yourself to move forward. One day, you may realize that the peace you spent so long searching for was never hidden in another conversation or another answer. It was waiting within you all along, ready to emerge the moment you stopped looking outside yourself and started trusting your own strength. True closure is not getting every answer, it is reaching a point where you no longer need them. Protect your inner peace. Your inner peace is one of the most valuable possessions you will ever have. yet it is often the first thing people sacrifice in the pursuit of attachment. Many individuals remain connected to relationships, situations, or people that consistently leave them feeling anxious, confused, emotionally drained, and uncertain. They endure sleepless nights, overthinking, and constant emotional turmoil because they fear letting go more than they fear losing their peace. Over time, they begin normalizing stress and instability, convincing themselves that emotional chaos is simply the price of love, friendship, or connection. But the Stoics would argue that no relationship is worth the destruction of your inner balance. When someone repeatedly brings uncertainty, drama, manipulation, or emotional instability into your life, they are not just affecting your mood, they are affecting your ability to think clearly, act wisely, and live peacefully. The more energy you spend trying to fix, understand, or hold on to something that constantly disturbs your mind, the less energy you have available for your own growth, purpose, and well-being. A peaceful mind is difficult to build and easy to lose, which is why it must be protected with great care. Stoicism teaches that peace is not weakness, avoidance, or indifference. It is a sign of emotional maturity and self-mastery. Protecting your peace means recognizing that not every person deserves unlimited access to your life, your thoughts, and your emotions. Sometimes the most courageous decision is not fighting harder for a connection but stepping back from one that consistently harms your well-being. This does not mean you stop caring about people. It means you care enough about yourself to establish healthy boundaries. It means understanding that your mental and emotional health are not things to be traded away in exchange for temporary comfort or companionship. There are moments in life when walking away is not a loss but an act of self-respect. There are moments when distance becomes necessary, not because you hate someone, but because you value your peace. The strongest people are not always the ones who hold on the longest, often, they are the ones who know when to let go. When you choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over emotional dependence, you begin reclaiming control over your life. And in that quiet space where anxiety once lived, you discover something far more valuable than attachment. You discover freedom, stability, and a deep sense of inner strength that no one can take away from you. Focus on what you can control. One of the most powerful principles in Stoicism is understanding the difference between what is within your control and what is not. Much of human suffering comes from trying to control things that were never ours to control in the first place. We try to control how others feel about us, how they treat us, whether they stay loyal, whether they choose us, or whether they remain in our lives forever. When things do not go the way we hoped, frustration, anxiety, and heartbreak quickly follow. The reality is that no amount of worrying, overthinking, pleading, or obsessing can force another person to feel a certain way. You cannot control someone's emotions, decisions, priorities, or actions. You cannot make someone love you, appreciate you, or stay if they have already chosen to leave. Yet many people spend months or even years fighting battles they can never win because they are focused on changing someone else's mind rather than strengthening their own. The more energy you invest in controlling the uncontrollable, the more powerless you feel. You become trapped in a cycle of frustration because your happiness depends on factors that are completely outside your influence. The Stoics taught that true freedom begins when you shift your attention back to the things that belong to you. While you cannot control another person's choices, you can control how you respond to them. You can control your thoughts, your actions, your habits, your discipline, and your attitude. You can choose whether pain makes you bitter or wiser. You can decide whether a setback becomes an excuse to give up or a reason to grow stronger. Every time you focus on what someone else should have done, you surrender your power. Every time you focus on what you can do today, you reclaim it. Instead of asking why they left, focus on how you can heal. Instead of wishing they would change, focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Instead of dwelling on what you lost, focus on what you can build from this moment forward. The more attention you give to what is within your control, the stronger, calmer, and more resilient you become. Eventually, you realize that peace does not come from controlling life, it comes from mastering yourself. And when you learn to direct your energy toward what you can actually influence, you stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and start becoming the architect of your own future. Fall in love with your own life. The final Stoic lesson is one of the most liberating truths a person can understand. Your life was never meant to be completed by someone else. Many people spend years waiting for a relationship, a person, or a moment that will finally make everything feel whole. They believe happiness will arrive when someone chooses them, stays with them, or loves them in the exact way they imagine. But this mindset places your entire sense of fulfillment outside of yourself, making your peace dependent on conditions you cannot control. When that person leaves or changes, it feels as though your entire world has collapsed, not because your life has truly ended, but because you built your identity around something temporary. The Stoics challenge this idea by reminding us that a meaningful life is not something you wait for, it is something you create. Slowly, your happiness stops revolving around one person and starts expanding into many areas of your life. And in that process, letting go of the past becomes less painful because you are no longer trying to return to a version of life that no longer exists. Instead, you are building a future that feels even more meaningful than what you lost. When you fall in love with your own life, you no longer chase people to complete you, you choose people who add to a life that already feels whole. And that is the moment where freedom truly begins. Conclusion. Letting go of someone is not about erasing their memory or pretending they never meant anything to you. It is not about denying the moments you shared or the emotions you once felt. Instead, it is about releasing the emotional grip that person holds over your present life. It is the quiet decision to stop allowing the past to control your thoughts, your peace, and your direction. Many people confuse letting go with forgetting, but the two are not the same. You can remember someone and still be free. You can acknowledge the past without being imprisoned by it. True letting go is about acceptance. It is understanding that what once felt permanent was, in reality, only temporary. It is choosing not to fight reality anymore, even when it hurts, and allowing life to move forward without dragging your heart backward. The Stoics reminded us that everything in life is transient. People enter our lives, teach us lessons, shape our experiences, and eventually move on in their own direction. Relationships begin with connection and often end with change. Nothing remains fixed forever, no matter how deeply we wish it would. But while external things are temporary, your inner world does not have to be. Your character, your wisdom, your discipline, and your emotional strength are yours to develop and protect. The more you invest in building these inner qualities, the less power any external loss has over you. You begin to realize that no person leaving can take away who you are becoming. No ending can erase the growth you have gained. And no loss can destroy the strength you have built within yourself. In that understanding, you find peace, not because life becomes easy, but because you become unshakable within it. Question for the audience. Which of these Stoic rules do you need most in your life right now, and what is the one attachment you are finally ready to release? Freedom begins the moment you stop chasing what has left and start building what is meant to stay within you. If this message gave you value, don't let it end here. Take a moment to support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who is going through a difficult emotional phase or needs a reminder to let go and move forward. Sometimes, a single message can become the turning point in someone's life, and you never really know who might need to hear this today. Follow for more Stoic wisdom, self-growth lessons, and powerful mindset content designed to help you build emotional strength and inner peace in a world full of distractions and attachment. Every video is created with one purpose: to help you become mentally stronger, more self-aware, and more in control of your life. And most importantly, don't forget to leave a comment below. Share your thoughts, your reflections, or even your personal experience. Your words might connect with someone else who is silently going through the same struggle. In that way, your story could become a source of strength and healing for another person who needs it right now.